Hi, I'm Shelley Young, owner of the Chopping Block, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a souffle, specifically a chocolate souffle. And we just need a few ingredients for this. We need some eggs, vanilla, sugar, and chocolate, things that we have at home, not a lot of special equipment either. So I think that you might enjoy making this simple and elegant dessert. The first step is to start with our eggs. Important thing to know about a souffle, the eggs are going to beat best, the egg whites are going to beat best if they're room temperature. So you want to let these sit out until they really reach room temperature. They're going to reach a higher volume. And we also want to separate these eggs. And separating the eggs sometimes is half the battle. So I usually have a few extra eggs, maybe even twice as many eggs out at room temperature in case I mess it up. And what I mean by mess it up is if I get any egg yolk into my egg white. I want to avoid that because that fat interferes with the egg whites whipping. So make sure your utensils are clean, extra rinse off. So to be able to separate the eggs, we chefs like to use our hands. You're less likely to poke the yolk with the shell, which is why we do this. But to be able to do that, you need to be able to crack an egg with one hand. So I kind of joke, as I don't know if this is a fastball or some kind of pitch. Maybe you can remember that if you're a baseball person. But we take the egg and we hit it on a flat surface. You get a little less shell. You get a little less shell into the yolk. And then what we do is we're going to crack that into the palm of our hands, and we separate it like so. Put my yolks in here. Eggs one at a time. That way, in case on my fifth egg yolk, or my fifth egg, I accidentally get yolks in there, I don't lose all the egg whites. So I've got 4 ounces of good chocolate here. You can use dark chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate. You can even use milk chocolate, but you really want a chocolate that has a good amount of chocolate in it, or cocoa. So when you're looking at the label, look for something that's got, 60% or more cocoa in the chocolate. And I've melted this, and how I did this was I just took a little stock pot, brought it to a boil, turned it off, and then just placed my chocolate on top until it melted, which doesn't take very long at all. Chocolate melts at body temperature, so I'm going to just leave that here because this is relatively a tempered heat so that this doesn't solidify, but not hot enough for it to keep cooking. So what we have here is we did separate 5 eggs, so we had 2 extra egg yolks. We need 5 whites and 3 yolks. We have a half cup of granulated sugar. I'm going to put about half of that in with the egg yolks. And we're going to mix this in. Now keep in mind, this also is very relevant to the egg whites, that when you add sugar to eggs, what happens is it starts to draw out the moisture in the eggs. When you draw out moisture in the eggs, what's really happening is the eggs are cooking. If you were to take an egg and just sprinkle sugar on top of it, if you were to take an egg and pour alcohol on top of it, like vodka, eventually it would cook because of the drawing out of the moisture. So you don't want to do this and let this sit for a long time. You want to move through this recipe pretty quickly. So what happens here is we just beat. You can use your hand mixer too for this, but I'm just doing it by hand today. You can see how this starts to get kind of thick and ribbony and gets a lighter color. That's really what we're looking for. What I want to do next to that is I'm going to add some vanilla. This is a vanilla paste. We're going to add a couple tablespoons, or a couple teaspoons, excuse me, of that. Mix that in. So our chocolate is ready. Our egg yolks are ready. Next, we're going to move to the egg whites. We do the egg whites last because we want the egg whites to hold their volume. So what we do when we whip egg whites is we are incorporating air into the eggs. So you want a bowl that is big. The bigger the bowl, the more air I can get into the egg whites. So that helps. We're also using a copper bowl. You can certainly make a souffle without a copper bowl, but this is the occasion where it does make a difference. What the copper bowl does, it does give you a little bit more volume, but the real thing that the copper bowl does is it reacts with the eggs to give you more stability. So egg whites, once they get whipped, they tend to lose their volume. They become more fragile. So the copper ions react with the eggs and create more stability in the oven so that the souffle doesn't fall. So what I'm going to do here is put the eggs, the warm egg whites, into this bowl. This bowl does not need to be cold. I'm going to whip it until it's frothy. See how the egg whites are frothy? We're going to now add the sugar somewhat gradually. So this is just a little bit more than a soft peak. It's these, you can see how it droops over, but it holds itself just a little bit. That's what I'm looking for. Now I'm going to move very quickly with the remainder of this, the assembling of this. Egg whites are ready. Egg yolks and sugar are ready. What I want to do is add my chocolate to this mixture. And I want to be able to whip that while I'm adding the chocolate so that the eggs don't just cook all at once. Get that well combined. And then we're going to start adding the whipped cream, or the whipped egg whites to the chocolate mixture. We'll put about a third of it in to start with. We're going to fold that in, which how I think of it is you skirting around the bowl, just following the contour of the bowl and pulling the mixture over the top. As soon as you get that folded in, you want to put it into your mini souffle dishes, or also called ramekins. We're going to fill these 2/3 of the way. These are buttered very thoroughly. We're going to do something called a collar. Just basically go I look at it as making a circle in the center. It cuts the air, if there's any air bubbles in there, but it also, you get a little top hat effect by doing this. We're going to put this in the oven at 375. It's been 8 to 10 minutes. These are starting just to crack on the top a little bit. They will still be jiggly and look a little bit moist in the middle. So as soon as those soufflés come out of the oven, they are done and ready to eat and still piping hot. You can do a little sprinkle of powdered sugar on there if you want, or some other kind of garnish, but I like it just the way it is. So, and that's how you make chocolate soufflé.